Have you fallen into the trap of making demands of the people in your life, the people that you have relationships with? Or do you know the art of making a request? Hi, I'm Liz Larson, and this is lesson 12 of 50 little things that you can do to create deep neurological bonds and make better relationships. So this one gets dicey for a lot of us. We start to get comfortable in relationships, or especially with our kids, where we start out comfortable in those relationships. Parents, this is a big one for them too, but definitely our significant other, where we start to make demands of them. Things that we want them to do, things that in truth we expect them to do. And we start to get a bit, demanding about it. And the way that we ask is not a request. It really is telling them, I need you to do it and I need you to do it now. And it becomes very irritating to the person being asked. And the truth is, the way that you're asking it is a little bit irritating to you. And a lot of times you're irritated when you're asking. So the art of making a request really will help you go a long way in your communication with the people that you care about. Here's a big trick too to this. It'll also get you what you want more often. And I have to say that this one is definitely a skill, and it takes a little bit of thinking because you're going to have to rewire and rewrite the way you've been doing this. It also requires you to think a little bit about how you've been making requests recently. So what's the difference between a request and a demand? A demand is something like, hey, can you get those dishes done? Hey, can you take care of that bill that I asked you about a week ago? Hey, can you get your room cleaned? Hey, can you go wash the car? Hey, this or that needs done in our lives. Can you do it? Would you do it? Could you do it? Right? I know you just heard yourself in there. And I know that it's probably a specific person in your life that you have this relationship with, or many. You may even include this in your coworkers, or if you're a boss, is this something that you do? Even if you're doing it in a more jovial way. Hey, could you get that thing done? Hey, did you get that thing done? Right? There's still a push to it. And this is what I want you to notice is how it feels. Because remember, creating these neurological bonds is for you too. So notice how it feels when you're making a demand of someone. You might have just felt it in your gut, like there's this bit of a push or tension that gets created. So here's the shift to this. It's a would you be willing statement, question, not a statement. Would you be willing changes everything. So there's the first part, and I'll tell you how to use it in just a moment. The second piece of this is to share how it helps you. Give the person in your life a why they're doing it, right? A lot of times it just feels like you're arbitrarily asking them to do something, just to annoy them, actually. And there's usually a why. There's usually a way that this makes your life better. And you're going to use some softening language beyond would you be willing. So a time frame that you'd like them to do it in, get specific. It becomes an agreement between you and them. A lot of times a request is sort of open-ended, like, yeah, I'll get it done sometime. I mean, that may be in a year from now, but I said I'd get it done. You've heard this argument before, right? I said I'd do it, but it never actually gets done. So let's talk about like your kids cleaning their room. You start with using a pet name, possibly. Hey, my darling, it's time for your room to get cleaned up. Would you be willing to take about 30 minutes today between noon and 1 and get that room cleaned up. So I'd like you to take the trash out, and I'd like you to make your bed. And I'd like you to put some of those clothes on the hanger. It would really help me a lot because I have a lot going this afternoon and I don't have time to do that myself. So I'd love for you to take care of that. Would you be willing to do that for me? See the difference? Rather than, hey, go get that room cleaned up. Well, when? Do I have to do it now? Maybe I'm doing something already. Maybe I don't know why I'm supposed to clean that room up. Let's do another way. Hey, honey, I noticed that your room's a little messy right now, and we have people coming over this afternoon. Would you be willing to straighten it up for me now because we have people coming in about an hour? So here's what I'd like you to do. Would you vacuum the floor for me and get those clothes hung up? And maybe if you would run that same vacuum around the living room, it would help me out so much. I'm trying to get dinner done and I don't have time to do both. So it would be a big help. Would you be willing? And there you go. You're letting them know there's a reason to this. I'm not just demanding you to do something for nothing. And I know a lot of parents are going to say, I shouldn't have to explain myself. No, maybe not. However, this will really help your child understand how to communicate in a polite way. It's just not polite to demand somebody around, but it'll also help them learn how to get what they need in the future and give maybe a reason for why they would like to have that thing done. It's really, really powerful. So let's talk about your significant other, right? This one I learned for myself. So many of these I tell myself because I had to learn them for myself. So I would notice that there were things that just didn't get done around the house, and I thought it was because I was being taken advantage of. My spouse just expected me to do everything. No, the truth was that they didn't realize it mattered to me if those things got done because I didn't say anything, and it didn't matter to them. So I learned that whatever I really needed or wanted, I needed to ask for, and I needed to make a request. So I might say, hey, my love, it would help me out so much to have the dishes clean in the morning when I get up, because otherwise I feel like I have to rush around in the morning. And I know you're up really early. Would you mind or would you be willing to do the dishes for me, on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday when I know that my schedule is full? It would help me out so much. Whenever I ask in this way, my husband knows that I'm asking for a reason. I'm not just making a demand. He knows that why it matters to me. And he knows that I'm asking nicely. Now, if the answer is, hey, I can't do it on Tuesday, but I'm happy to do it on, Wednesday and Friday and Monday, that's great. Now we start having negotiation and agreements. So every relationship, I've said this 1,000 times, is a negotiation and an agreement. This is what our communication always is. Those communications and negotiations can be done in a hostile way or a kind way. So how about friends? Do we take advantage of friends sometime? Like, hey, could you go get me this? Hey, could you go run me that errand? Hey, are you, available next week? I need. Even with them, requesting and asking, would you be willing, makes a big difference. Hey, my friend, I'm really going through something right now, and I could use some support. Would you be willing to go with me to this court date, to this appointment that I have, to this conversation with somebody that's a struggle? Would you be willing to go with me and support me? It would really mean so much to me. Being asked feels really good, and asking nicely feels really good as well. Let's talk about employees. As an employee, you feel like as a boss, you should be able to tell them what to do. But the truth is, they're just another person and they really like to be asked, and employees like to know the reason as well. Hey, bud, I have this new program that's going, and I've got a piece of it that I think would work right for you. So here it is. I need this schedule to be made on the 5th of each month for this particular order. Would you be willing to be the one who makes that specific order? right? Now, with a boss, like they're probably gonna do that thing because you're the boss and you're telling them to. But to be asked in a kind way and ask for their willingness, ask for their participation in the deciding of how this thing gets done really goes a long way. If you ask someone, could you do something? Could you take out the trash for me? Well, yeah, I could. That doesn't mean I want to or I'm going to. That one really rubs people the wrong way. Would you is a little softer. Strangely, it's just one letter off, but hey, would you take the trash out for me? It would really help me. I'm trying to make dinner and I don't have time to take it out, whatever. Oh, nicer. But hey, would you be willing to take the trash for me? I'm rushing through dinner and I don't have time to do it right now, but it would really clear up space for me. Oh, yeah, okay. Most people push back at a demand, but don't push back at a really gentle and polite request. You're not begging. You're asking specifically, would you be willing to do this for me and in this specific time frame? And here's how it helps me. That's it. Those are the rules of this level. It does take a little bit of skill to remember the language around it. So try this one on in your head where you would normally make a demand that might even start a fight in your household. Stop and take a minute and try it on in your head. Hey, would you be willing to help me with this thing? Here's what I need specifically, and here's when. Okay, now say it out loud. It might feel awkward to the people being asked if they're used to you demanding them around as well. I had a friend that we used to call Demand Divert, and it was a play on her last name. And she was that human that demanded around everyone in her life. Now, she was a lovely human. I don't think she meant to demand people, but she had a way that was really, really abrasive. And it kind of pushed people away from her. She would make demands of friends and family and a lot of people, relationships. And it was one of those things that had she learned to change, I think her life would have been a lot happier and her life ended early. So don't be that person in everyone else's life. Ask really nicely. In fact, request. Let them know what it means to you and how it helps you, and give them a specific time frame in which that thing could be done. And I think you will see that your life changes so much by using this tool. For parents and kids, it changes immensely. It might open the communication for you that you never had before, especially with teens. With significant others, it could rekindle a relationship that's starting to fail. Keep in mind that these people are important to you, so it's important the way that you communicate with them. It'll do more than just build a neurological bond. It may build a foundation for communication that you can use for the rest of your life. Okay, this has been Lesson 12 and 50 little things you can do to build better relationships.